let me begin with President Trump, who yesterday went to the National Association of Black Journalists and gave an interview, incredibly hostile interview.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Stop right there. The single most hostile opening statement. It isn't a question. It's 5 different statements followed by a question. I've been doing this job since 1990. I have never, ever heard a more insulting opening to an interview than that. Back to the tape.
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even
stop right there. He's right. I would have left. I would have said, well, you're not going to be fair, obviously. That's all nonsense, what you just said. So I'm going to get up and leave. Thank you all for having me. Next time, perhaps you won't have Rachel Scott. You'll have someone who has a modicum of decency, fairness, an approach to the profession of journalism that begins with an objective question. You want the votes of blacks. Why? As opposed to setting up what is an accusatory. I mean, it just really is a show trial. Keep going.
Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and, you know, and I say this, historically, black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric.
All right, now stop for a second. Notice that he's just rolling right over her like a dump truck over a broken asphalt deal. And she is gobsmacked because he did exactly what he should do. He pushed back. He will not be bullied by an ABC journalist with an agenda. Keep going.
The question,
trust you with another
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. I really do.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll
Bravo, Donald Trump.
Here.
Bravo, Donald Trump. It was a disgrace. It's why he should not do legacy media interviews. It's always the same way. It's so easy to begin. Thank you for joining us today, President Trump. We appreciate your being here. Why do you want the votes of blacks? It's just so easy to do. Instead, Rachel Scott is showing off for her colleagues. And this is what you run into with legacy media every day. Let's pick it up again.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
a very direct question. Define it for me if you
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know.
All right, so stop right there. Notice how that's been distorted. Notice how he put it. I've known her for a number of years. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she wanted to be known as black. And so the misinterpretation, the falsification of what Donald Trump did from first newspaper to last tells you everything you need to know about Beltway legacy media.